Alright, so welcome back. Now we've created our customer and all the information we need about our customer. So now the second step of the value stream mapping creation process is to start building our actual process steps. Now up here in the palette we've got a number of options we can work with when creating process steps, and you can see up here there are different options that we can choose when creating our process steps. So here is the process step icon. Now we can have a process step that has inventory after it, maybe a FIFO system is that second icon there. A third option is maybe having some type of Kanban system. And in our example, we're just going to have a simple inventory system that is going to come out of our process. So we're going to go ahead and grab that icon and drag it out here. And now we've got our process box, and our first process in our map is the stamping process. And so we're going to have this stamping process, and our stamping process is it's a 200-ton press. We're just going to go ahead and write in 200-ton here for a description of the stamping process. And now you can see below this we've got all these different options for different data that we can include in to describe the stamping process. So this first little funny looking icon here is just represents people in the process. So how many people do we have working in this process? And so for this process we're going to have one person. There's one operator for the stamping press. And then remember, now I can use my tab key to tab around the data box here to fill in the blanks. I can also come back here and click on the X's to delete the fields that I don't want. And then remember again, we can add fields by clicking on the plus sign to put in our new fields as we want those. So let's go ahead and fill in the boxes here based on the data that we do have for this stamping process. We know our cycle time for this process is 1 second. Very fast process, stamping process. CO is our changeover time. So how long does it take us to change over from one product type to another is important information to know. In our example, that's going to be 1 hour. Our scrap rate, we're not going to collect the scrap rate for this particular process in this example, but if you had a scrap rate you could put the percentage in for that. We do have uptime in our example, and so we're going to go ahead and add in our uptime. And uptime is just what percent of the time is this stamping press up and available to run, and in our case it's 85%. So that means the other 15% of the time it's down for maintenance or some type of repairs going on. So 85% of the time it's up and running. Available seconds per day is also another data point that we do have, and we don't have rework, so we're going to remove rework. So the available seconds per day is 27,600. And now whether you measure this in seconds, minutes, or hours is really up to you. In our example we're just going to stick with seconds. And then EPE is another data point that we have, and that's every product in this case every 2 weeks. So what this tells us is that we build every single product on this machine, on this stamping process, every 2 weeks. So in a 2-week cycle time or a 2-week period, every product that this machine can potentially make has been made. So every 2 weeks we have run through all the different products. So this is just some basic info on our stamping operation. Now this is going to feed into feeding into the stamping operation is going to be some inventory. We're going to have some inventory sitting in front of the stamping operation. So we're going to come back up here and look for that icon for the inventory, and you're going to find it here underneath the material flow palette. And so we've got this icon over here with inventory. So we can just grab this icon, we can bring this over here, put that right in front of our stamping, and we've got coils that are coming into this process, and we've got coils for 5 days sitting in front of the process. So we're going to stick that right there in front of our stamping process. And then we also have inventory here in front of, or coming out of stamping, feeding into the next process. So we're going to come back up here, we're going to find an icon that we can use to capture the material that is going in there. And in this case actually we could just come here and we could copy our our text box there. Let's try that again. Now we've got another text box that we can stick here underneath our inventory coming out. And in this case, we're going to have 4,600 lefts. Let's make this box a little bit wider. And we're going to have 2,400 rights. So these are going to be after the stamping. So now if we look at our process step, we have 5 coils, 5 days worth of coils sitting in front of our stamping operation. And then coming out of the stamping operation, we've got 4,600 left pieces and 2,400 right pieces sitting waiting for the next process step. So now what we would do is to create this entire process flow would be just to fill in all the other processes that happen after stamping. And I'm going to zoom out here, and I've already actually done that just so you don't have to watch me creating all these different process steps. You can see down here below I have the rest of the process steps. And so now what I want to do is I want to move all these process steps up here to my map. And so I'm going to use this icon, this little pointer arrow with the box down here, and go to select mode. Now what the select mode does is it allows you to grab a bunch of stuff, a bunch of shapes at one time and move them around. So I'm going to grab all these shapes. You can see now I can grab all these and I can move them as a group. I can get them lined up with my process here. And now you can see I've got my process in line with the rest of my steps here. So now what I can do is I can grab this whole works, this whole process stream, as one big chunk of steps and place it right here next to my supplier. Now if I want to zoom in on just the stuff that I have on the screen, I can use this icon here, which is the fit to page, and it's going to automatically pull it right into my view. So now you can see our value stream map is starting to come together here. We've got a stamping operation that has 5 days with the coils in front of it. That takes 1 second, and coming out of that we have 4,600 lefts, 2,400 rights. We've got a welding operation that takes 39 seconds, and we've got material in between welding station 1 and welding station 2. Welding station 2 takes another 46 seconds. We've got material between it and assembly number 1. Then assembly number 1 takes 62 seconds. And coming out of assembly number 1, we have some inventory waiting for assembly number 2, which takes 40 seconds. And then finally, we've got some inventory sitting in front of our shipping, our product staging, before it goes off to the customer, which is State Street Assembly. So you can see now we've got the entire process flow that's going to be feeding into our customer. So that's it for the second step.